Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session, we are looking at an official update put out by Overwatch, their Path to Pro team. And for those that don't know, their Path to Pro team is their Contenders team. Contenders is fun and interesting, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the Contenders scene, the collegiate scene. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Contenders, that's boring. But we actually get some clues about Overwatch 2 by reading through this, so I'm going to sort of go over what we can piece together. This is a short piece, so I'll go ahead and read the whole piece to you guys here on stream. But what we're looking at is they are going to have they're going to operate in the same regions, but the keys here for Overwatch 2 are they want a similar amount of events, matches, broadcast hours, and LAN opportunities, but they're also going to be starting a little later in the season. So they're going to start later in the season than they did this last year of Contenders. They're going to have the same number. Well, why would they be starting later in the season? The obvious reason would be that they want to start later so that they can put Contenders on the Overwatch 2 PvP client that is the same one that Owl will be using. And that's actually not too wild because both Contenders players and Owl players play on something called OPR. That is, we have OPR accounts when we're playing on these things. Those get sent to players that are on Contenders teams or Owl teams, to the orgs themselves, those sorts of things. And those exist, and that's how Contenders players can play against Owl players for scrims, for that sort of thing. And generally, when we pick them, we'd effectively go into our BattleNet menu. Oh, I don't have it pulled up. We'd go into our BattleNet menu in the same place that you'd pick a region or a server. You can pick, oh, I want to log into OPR instead. And you might have one build that's the Owl patch, one build that's the Contenders patch, or one build that's, the patch that's being used for this tournament, for, the playoffs that happened here, because you might have Australian Contenders playoffs happened on a different patch than, let's say, North American Contenders final, so you might even have 3 patches in there, something like that. But usually you'll have 2 patches in there, and that's effectively them saying, hey, we think we can push this out. They aren't officially saying this, but this looks like they're saying, reading between the lines, we're probably going to put Contenders on Overwatch 2 PvP, just like we're going to put Owl on Overwatch 2 PvP. And that's important because it means that their Overwatch 2 PvP is stable enough, or they believe it's going to be stable enough, that they can run it for Contenders for this online only tournament with less not just less eyeballs, but less like staff surrounding it and ready to fix it the instant something goes wrong, which means they think they have a relatively, or they will have a relatively solid build that works, and they think also if they can fit a similar number of events, matches, broadcast hours, and LAN opportunities, they can't delay the start of the Contender season that much. And Contender started pretty early this year. So if they're delaying it some, but they want to have a similar amount, they can't delay it too much, which means they think that PvP build is going to be ready, and ready in a way that it doesn't require, devs to constantly be running it, watching it, ready to reset it if things break, etc. They think they can do that. That's what this looks like. Now, they're not officially stating this. This is what we're drawing based on what we see here. But this would be good news for an Overwatch 2 time frame, or at least for an Overwatch 2 how far along they are in their PvP elements, which is good because we don't want that to totally feel rushed and, half-baked when it gets out the door to us live. So that's really exciting. But now that I've given my brief thoughts of, hey, what this means, let's go ahead and read through it so you guys don't just have to take my word for it. Hello, everyone. We are here on the Overwatch Path to Pro team. Wanted to express our thanks for joining us for another exciting year of competition. We know many of you are anxious to hear details surrounding our 2022 plans, and we wanted to provide an update. With the game in a period of transition, there are many moving parts, and it is our top priority to find the best solutions given the framework provided. Sure, there's a lot of moving parts. I was not convinced that there would be Contenders in 2022, to be perfectly honest. I thought that would be a decent excuse for them to pull the rug out of Contenders, because let's face it, it's something that they support that doesn't make them money. It really loses them money. But that's not what happened. So hey, cool. We are still determining specifics for each region, but there are some things we can share at this time. Overwatch Contenders will have operations in the same regions in 2021. So this is the same regions: Australia, China, Europe, Korea, North America. Previously, we used to have a Pacific region. Previously, we also had a South America region. We sort of eliminated regions 1 year at a time, and those were the less competitive regions. Pacific had a very strong team, but those were smaller, less competitive regions, you could effectively say. Smaller might not be right, but less competitive regions. And we survived with 5 again, which is good because Australia and Europe probably weren't feeling too comfortable. Okay. The volume of activity will be roughly the same in 2021, with a similar amount of events, matches, broadcast hours, and LAN opportunities. While our plans are still being solidified, we wanted to give some insight into current thinking around how the year will look as a whole. Details below are subject to change, but should provide a general idea of what to expect from a scheduling perspective. We expect contenders activity to begin later next year than in previous seasons, so they're delaying it. What's the obvious reason to delay it? Well, the obvious reason to delay it would be, hey, we want to put it on the same build. Is this them saying they're definitely going to put it on the same build? No, it doesn't. But if you know that pros have OPR access, and you go, hey, they're delaying it, and we know they also delayed the start of the L season, that's what it starts to look like. And when we add that, this delay, again, back to, we want to hold a similar amount of events, matches, broadcast hours, and LAN opportunities. They could try to super squish things. They could say that they're going to hold a similar amount and then have significantly less. That wouldn't be past them. Remember, we had times where we thought we were going to get 3, back when we had longer contender seasons, where we thought we'd get 3 contender seasons in a year, and whoops, that turned into 2. So, like, there's things that could go wrong here. This could be hot air. This could be, we're going to tackle the world. And no, you're not. That's the world that you're trying to tackle. But that would be good news from a release date standpoint, assuming you're in the group of people that wants Overwatch 2 to come out soon. I know there's a meaningful contingent of people that are saying, no, delays are great because Overwatch 1 is in a fantastic state right now. Plus, Overwatch 1 won't be playable once 2 comes out because Overwatch 2 is replacing Overwatch 1, and 5v5 is different than 6v6. So I get it. There's disagreement there, but for people that are looking forward for Overwatch 2, want to see it be successful, this does look like good news, though they're not coming out and stating it. We're exploring ideas for meaningful competition ahead of our primary Path to Pro schedule. So that's because they want to fill some of the time that they're delaying. They want to fill some of the time that they're delaying with some tournaments. And hopefully third-party tournaments will step in there and fill this schedule up a little bit. It's quite possible that they will. We've been seeing more tournaments step in there. We've actually seen even less third-party stuff, like the Florida Mayhem have been doing some tournament stuff, the Willie tournament type stuff. We've seen other tournaments step in there and get moderate amounts of success. We saw Atlanta just step in there for, not Atlanta, we saw Toronto Defiant just step in there and host a tournament, which I had a couple of my players compete in. So yeah, we've seen teams and third-party organizations have stepped in a little bit in some of the contenders gaps, and hopefully they'll continue to do so to let some high-level play happen. Formats, exact dates, tournament qualifications, and prizing per event are still pending finalization and will be communicated in early 2022. Sure. Our goal in sharing this information is to convey our commitment to curating the most beneficial experience for your teams, the players, and our fans. We appreciate your patience as we take the time necessary to get these details right, and we look forward to sharing more when we can. Thank you for your continued support. Sincerely, Dan and the Overwatch Path to Pro team. Okay, so they've taken to posting their Path to Pro updates on the competitive Overwatch Reddit. I suppose that makes sense. You would have expected this more to be posted in their own Blizzard pages, in their own domain, and then competitive Overwatch to link out to it. Maybe you'd have seen this. I mean, it doesn't really make sense on Twitter, but you could post a link on Twitter again and host it in your own domain. It's a little weird that they posted it directly to the competitive Overwatch subreddit, but we've always known that they consider this the second Overwatch subreddit. They've considered there to be 2 main Overwatch subreddits. I'm sorry, Overwatch University, you're similar size to competitive Overwatch here, but they continue, or they've told us in the past, they continue there to be 2 Overwatch Reddits, and those are obviously our Overwatch and our competitive Overwatch. So they decide this is an official enough channel. They have official Blizzard flair, so the mods tell us that this is in fact this person. They have in some way verified that. Okay. Looks good, looks meaningful enough. Now, is there absolutely the possibility that this is hot air, that they're way overestimating their ability to get stuff in here? Absolutely. Is it possible? And you'll notice they haven't committed to this being on Overwatch 2, so they're using so they can back out if it's not ready, if things aren't there. Yes, it does. But that they're even working their schedule and their plans in such a way that it is a good sign in my mind. Okay. Um, Here's someone from Mayhem saying they're planning at least one more Mayhem Classic series, so that would be not a third party, that I guess would be second party in this case, where that's one of the Owl organizations, the Mayhem, going, hey, let's go ahead and host a thing again, just like Toronto just hosted a thing. Mayhem's done that before, and that was sort of their view originally. Originally, when you purchased Owl slots, one of the benefits was you were supposed to get the rights to host like 5 events using Overwatch per year. So like 5 tournaments. They might have been LANs, they might have been online things like this. That was supposed to be one of the selling points, and that's one of the reasons Blizzard pulled the rug out from under other organizations like Apex, like the Alienware Monthly Melee. Part of it was to pull eyeballs back to Owl, but part of it was also to make it a more enticing thing that, oh, look, you get to be one of the few that can hold events. And that mostly didn't get exercised, so they started letting the community get their licenses to host tournaments again. But now those organizations are stepping up, and I'm happy to see that. I hope they're making any money doing so. I'm not convinced that they are, but I hope they are. Pushing something as the last big Overwatch 1 tournament would probably increase its reach if Contenders is actually being played on Overwatch 2. So yeah, this guy sees through it as well that they're talking about playing this on Overwatch 2. And I'm sure it would, but I doubt Blizzard is willing to commit to that language until we're further along. So we'll have to see. Uh-huh. Cool. Okay. Okay. And that looks interesting for comment, so I want to see what you guys have chat-wise, because to me this is exciting, interesting news. It's good for the future of Overwatch 2. It suggests that their build is somewhat far along, and it's not going to be a totally rushed, stapled together piece of garbage. But hey, when do the extra tank players get fired from OWL teams? I mean, that's sort of already happened. You'll notice they've been slow to do player ads. They've been slow somewhat in the tank slot because they don't know what to do there, and then they've been slow in the main support slot in OWL to add players in general because there's a lot of top tier main support options right now. There's too many good main supports to go around, so it is a buyer's market. So tanks are struggling right now, and main supports kind of struggled this offseason because there were a lot that were owl caliber that don't necessarily fit in the tanks world because we're reducing tanks and we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. And they tried to do their practice, their scrims, their tryouts on things that recreate that 5v5 experience, but that's not perfect. You don't know what it's going to look like. You especially don't know if you don't know what it's going to look like. And then again, we've got a bit of a plethora of main supports available. You're afraid Overwatch 2 will be a downgrade? I have that concern as well, Magdalena. But I am going to be having someone on probably right after New Year's that is really like the most upbeat, positive view on Overwatch 2 that we're gonna have a bit of a discussion surrounding it, and he's really gonna champion the no Overwatch 2 is going to be great point because he truly believes that, and he has the most upbeat take I've seen of anyone. I actually had a great discussion with him, but I had a great discussion with him last week, but obviously that wasn't streamed, and I said, okay, we've got to do this again. We'll surely end up having a different conversation, but I'm looking forward to having that again and sharing that conversation with you guys where you can get in there, ask your questions, as well as, see that it's not all doom and gloom. Cautiously optimistic for Overwatch 2 here. Okay, Congex. I should do a tier list of Winter Wonderland skins. Maybe. I'd have to upload the skins myself to the tier list, to one of the tier list maker websites, or I could just log into my client, I suppose, and do it like that. Um, some low effort content. Maybe. They're saying there's basically minimal delays. We'll see. We will see. We will see. 6 minutes in, and I already feel like I missed a lot. Yeah, I just did the recap of how we got there, effectively, Congex. And I don't think I need to hugely recover that, but basically what we're looking at is we're in this situation where they're telling us they want to have roughly the same number of, contenders, events, matches, opportunities, that sort of thing, and they want to delay their start time a little bit. And wanting to delay your start time a little bit, wanting to have the same number, and then knowing that contenders players use OPR accounts just like OWL players use OPR accounts would be the breadcrumbs that are leading us to the conclusion of they probably are looking to put contenders on Overwatch 2. Even them having contenders in 2022 and confirming it, committing to it, also in some ways suggest that they might want to, that they're potentially looking at Overwatch 2. You can consider that an extra bit of evidence. So that is good news. And then if they think they can do this on contenders, not just OWL, where they can have someone literally there, they can have, devs literally watching it, technicians literally watching it to make sure stuff works because it's a big enough deal for them. That's one thing. But if you're willing to do that for contenders in a bunch of different regions, you're potentially looking at, hey, this is more stable than we thought. This is going to work. We're expecting less. Oh, the game, locks up, isn't ready, is bug ridden, or just isn't in a state that's doable. Because if you want roughly the similar number, well, okay, you can't make them too condensed, so you can't delay your start that long. But they might not actually have a similar number. We'll see. Just log in and do it like that? I could do that. We might do that in a separate video here. But anyway, that's what I wanted to cover, guys. If you guys have thoughts, throw them up there now. I'm happy to do a little bit more discussion on this. Otherwise, feel free to drop a like, consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. If you would like to see more content like this, where we're, reacting to the news, or in this case, doing a little bit of reading between the lines, investigative work to put together what the news means, uh, that's cool. We also do guides, we review other people's content, we respond to Reddit threads like this. We, of course, do reviews of play, both at a professional organized level as well as individual players. All that good stuff on this channel. Consider joining our Discord to see more. Okay, that's going to do it on this one. I'll keep this one short because it's Overwatch 2 news and we want that to get out to people. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.